guys, today we're gonna be having a white chocolate party. So let's get started.
One of the most popular claims for astrology is that it can guide you through your love life. Every day, hundreds of copies of books on this aspect of astrology alone are sold. Please welcome my final guest, the author of books such as Love Lives and the Seductive Art of Astrology, Carol Golder. Carol, are some pairs of star signs more compatible than others?
Yes, I think they definitely are, even in sun sign astrology, which in fact is all we've got time to do here tonight. But yes, they are.
Carol has kindly agreed to do a demonstration for us tonight. We scoured the countryside, find 12 blissfully married couples, and despite the odds, we found them, and here they are. Well, what we have here is one man from each of the 12 astrological signs, accompanied by his better half. Now, gentlemen, please move to your star signs, taking your wives with you. So, Carol, we've given you the zodiac signs for all of the wives. What have you done with this information?
Well, I think I've probably broken up a few happy relationships, actually, without meaning to, but who knows? We're soon going to discover.
I see. So you've read the signs and you figured out who they should be compatible with.
I've done a little generalization on the signs, and as I said before, some signs are more compatible than others.
So would all of the ladies now please move to the astrological sign that Carol says they should be romantically compatible with. Ladies? Will you look at this? I don't know what the charm is this gentleman has, but he's attracted 8 wives. And there's one gentleman over here, and another one here, and another one here. Well, thanks to all. What do you think of that demonstration?
Well, I think it proves the point that a lot of people can get on with people that aren't necessarily right for them.
Probably does this demonstrate the basic principles of the kind of thing you do?
No, of course not. I will do a date, time, and place of birth of somebody, and then I will see how their planetary aspects correspond to their proposed partner. No matter what sign you are, you really ought to be able to get on with them.
Well, Carol, I hope that you make a lot of people very happy. Now, do you think the person in this photo is living or dead? Our last guest tonight believes that by looking at a photograph, she can tell us something about the person in that photo, including whether or not that person is alive or dead. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Agnes Freeman. Agnes, earlier in the day we gave you 5 photographs. They're smaller versions of the ones we now have behind us. Choosing the photograph was a difficult task. We tried to ensure that as few clues as possible remain. Surroundings, clothing, hairstyle may all give a clue as to the age of the photograph. And thus, the likelihood as to whether or not the person is living or dead might be given away. I believe you used a pendulum to divine whether or not each person is living or dead?
Correct, yes.
Now, how does that work?
If that person is alive, the pendulum is turning usually right. If the person is dead, either it's not turning at all, or I don't get any kind of reading on the person.
So it's whether or not
on the aura.
I see. To claim the $10,000 that I have offered for many years to anyone who can produce psychic phenomena under controlled conditions. Is that right, Agnes?
That's right.
All right. Well, first things first. Let's see how well you'll do with just 5 photographs. Now, there are tough odds against getting all 5 correct. This first photograph, what do you make of this lady?
What I made out of this lady is, I got the name, she's alive. And her name is Sandra. For somebody who belongs to her, the name is Sandra, and a lot of studies in the past.
Alive or dead?
She's alive.
She is alive. All right, we'll put a tick on that one to indicate that this is a living lady. I hope you're correct. Now, on number 2 here, we have a young gentleman of unknown profession. What would you tell us about him?
Well, he's very much alive, and what I got to see me around him, I also get the feeling of teaching on the Irish connection, and I see him also with something to do with the Swiss Alps, either yet or going to there in the near future.
So that this gentleman is alive.
This gentleman is alive.
All right, we'll stick a tick right up there on his eye. So we'll remember. And number 3, this rather exotic-looking gentleman with a little goatee. What do you say about him?
He's very much alive. And he's a whole mystic, psychic, artistic, musical, whatever you can think of. He got everything, about everything.
So you say that he's alive as well?
He's alive.
And so he gets the red tick. And moving on to this more elderly gentleman.
The elderly gentleman is alive as well.
He is?
Yes. What I pick up with him is the eyes.
So he is alive.
He's alive.
He has problems with the eyes. Very well. And he gets the red tick as well. So thank you very much, Agnes. Now for number 5. What do you say about this gentleman?
This gentleman is not alive. I have got no any kind of readings on him. And also I find the photograph very cold. I also get some answers with him in the past. Whatever I got on him, the reading what I have time for is all in the past, not in the present.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Agnes. Would you join me over here, please? Let's just review your psychic decision of the condition of each person shown. You said number 1 is alive, number 2 is alive, number 3 is alive, number 4 is alive, and number 5 is dead. Let's see who's really still alive. All of them, except number 2. So you got 3 correct and 2 wrong. I'm sorry, Agnes. I know that's not what you had hoped for. Nevertheless, you did come along to participate, and I think you deserve a big thank you. In the case of the psychometry test tonight, in which keys and wristwatches were matched up, as well as in the matching of handwriting to professions by means of graphology, we expected one match would be made if chance alone were operating. The living or dead test with photographs, which you have just seen, called for 2 or 3 to be correct by chance alone. In all 3 cases, our guests have scored just what chance would call for, so that in our admittedly small number of trials, none of the special skills or powers seem to have been demonstrated. The question remains, do these abilities really exist? Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the evidence. You make up your own mind. I'm James Randi. Good night. We visited the privately funded Metaphysical and Psychic Research Center in Berkshire, whose principal, Norman Knight, has been involved in psychic research
as far as psychic and spiritual healing was concerned. And this is why we involved ourselves with research and investigation into this phenomenon. The ultimate goal, of course, is to bring some tangible substance to this intangible subject. Most of this equipment here came through times when I was in deep contemplation. This particular object is our table that we levitate. It moves around the room under certain circumstances, of course.
I was having challenges with my old bank. Lots of red flags, fees, penalties, so I broke up with that banking and moved on with SoFi checking and savings. Now I earn higher interest on all my money and pay no account fees.
SoFi, get your money right.
Now, the eternal question, is there life after death? Tonight, we'll be meeting people who say they can look back into the past, reach into the future, and move between life. So much of the information we get from astrology is fairly general and subjective, yet increasingly business people consult astrologers for guidance in their financial affairs. In France, 10% of companies now take astrological advice on everything from takeovers to stock market flotations. To examine the use of astrology in the world of finance, we set